All right, we're here with James Beaubeaux, Beaubeaux's Bourbon and Biscuits. First off, thanks for having us. You've got a great looking place here. I love the vibe. It's got a real gritty, warm feeling to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of got a patina to it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, hell, I have a rusted chandelier hanging in the dining room. So,
right. But that gives it a welcoming feel, you know. It's not stale and modern and.
Yeah, you know, one time I had to give a 5-minute speech, and one of the things I told people is don't be afraid of making mistakes, because the people around you, they're making mistakes, right? And if you make a mistake and you hide it, and you only make one mistake a year, they're like, look at this perfect guy, you know, what's he doing?
Right.
And is it okay to cuss on this? Or?
Absolutely.
All right, so
let it fly.
So yeah, I don't a lot, but whatever. But if you make a mistake and you own up to it, and then you handle it and fix the problem that you made, then people will respect you more and they will like you more.
Absolutely, and you will learn from that mistake as well.
Right, you make mistakes just like them.
Sure.
And so things that are perfect irritate me. I don't know. It's just like, I know that's not real. So that's a lot of what people come in here and they find that they really like and embrace is the notion that this is something authentic.
Absolutely.
Right? It's real, and it's got a real life and a real character, and the name isn't just a generic name. It's a person.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that when the moment you walk in the door, you're like, oh, this is different. I like it. You know.
Yeah.
So how did this get started? Have you always been a restaurateur, or is this your first foray into it, or?
No, I followed the script as a young man. In fact, I probably could have been a restaurateur. When I was 20, I was working for the guy that 4 years later, he created the first Wingstop. And I was still working for him when he created the first Wingstop.
Wow.
I remember being on his back porch in Garland, Texas, and trying wings and wing sauces and different things.
Experiments.
Yeah, experiments. And I worked at the first and original Wingstop. If I had stuck with that, then I'd probably be rich. And a few of the guys that did stick with him are rich.
Yeah.
You know, drive Lamborghinis and stuff.
Right.
I went to college instead. And so, you know, the college was fine, and it created a dependable and great career for me, but I didn't feel like I was fulfilled, especially from a creative aspect.
What were you doing?
I was doing logistics and accounting.
Oh yeah, that's not fulfilling at all.
Yeah, there wasn't. I also feel like one of my strengths is interaction with customers.
Sure.
And that wasn't being fulfilled either.
Yeah.
So when I was let go in 2020 during the COVID crisis, my 2 kids who were 10 at the time, they're twins, and you know, they're really smart. And they'll tell you that they're really smart.
Yeah.
You know, so I had my son. He's swinging on the jungle gym with some kid he just barely met, right? And he looks at that kid and he goes, "I'm really smart." And I was giggling. Later on, I told him, "Hey, buddy, if you're the smartest guy in the room, everybody knows.
You shouldn't have to tell people.
You don't tell them, because if you're having to tell them, you're not the smartest guy in the room." So, but anyway, they are smart, and we were riding in the car, and I kind of wear my emotions on my sleeve and letting them know what real life is like. And they're like, "Daddy, what's wrong?" "Well, Daddy's job is they're not gonna have me anymore, so I gotta find a new job, and I'm not really excited about it. I'm not really excited about the way the industry's going," and so on. And so, "Well, Daddy, why don't you just do what you love and get rich at it?" And so I chuckled a little bit and explained to him a little bit about how life works and how it's kind of about balance, where you find something that you don't hate miserably, so that you can make just enough money
to pay your bills.
Do what you want to do. I said, and that's the way I've been living for a long time. But then after being dream crusher for a minute, you know, I decided, well, maybe I could do something I love, and maybe I'll get lucky and make a little money at it. So far, only half of that's happening. So I do absolutely love what I'm doing, and that's probably the biggest payoff for this is that I've had a blast over the last 2.5 years. A year of building this thing and a year of running the business.
Sure.
I've only had 3 days off this year, and I barely notice. Like every day I come in for something and do something and interact with my employees who don't exactly need me, but it's like, it's good and it's encouraging and refreshing to them that I do come and that I am part of it. They're part of something.
I think that's a big misconception with owning your own business. People say, "Oh, have all this freedom," but you end up working 10 times more for yourself.
Yeah.
Just with you have to be your own kick in the ass to keep it going.
Absolutely. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Oh, you're the man. Thank you, sir.
Enjoy.
So this started 2.5 years ago?
Well, the concept started 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago. October 2020 was when I had that conversation with my kids, and the next day I woke up and I was laying in bed and my eyes popped open and I said, I'm going to open a restaurant. So I go from being a logistics and inventory
What a 180.
guru to just
no experience
fuck
ever.
all that, let's go live a dream.
Sure.
Right? And so, yeah.
Full YOLO.
Yeah, exactly. The landlord was a little bit nervous. They're like, "You never owned restaurants before?"
Yeah.
I was like, "No, but I mean, I've done all the things that typical restaurant owners forget that they need to know. You need to know how to do marketing. You need to know how to do people management. You need to know how to do inventory. You need to know how to do costing and
all the
purchasing
behind the scenes
and contracting and vetting and like all these things that a lot of restaurant owners think they just need to know how to cook. You got to know a lot more than that.
Sure.
I would say owning say you want to open a little home decor shop, you still need to know all those same things that I just mentioned. You just don't need to know how to cook. It's the restaurant adds that level of you need to also be able to cook. And frankly, that's probably one of my weak spots is being able to cook. I like to cook.
So are these your recipes, or did you bring in a chef to kind of create a menu, or how does that work?
I'm never stupid enough to deny help, right?
Sure.
Like, so I've collected help and input from as many people that would give me help and input. The concept was mine, 100%. Well, there's inspiration out there, right? So there's a place in Seattle called Biscuits. If you go there, it's awesome. A year later, that was in 2019 that me and my lady saw that. We had a great time. Waited 30 minutes and paid $30 to have 2 biscuits and 2 coffees and couldn't have been happier.
Right.
And then a year later, we were in Colorado Springs and did the old breakfast and came up with Denver Biscuit Company. Same thing. 30-minute wait to get 2 biscuits and 2 coffees, and we were as happy as could be.
So this idea has something that's been planted in your mind for a long time.
Well,
and you used
a month before I got laid off that I saw the second place.
Okay.
And I was in my head, we should have a place like this in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that one existed here in Dallas. It's great. It's called the Biscuit Bar. They've got 6 or 7 locations now. So I knew just by that the concept would work. In fact, I thought the concept would work so well that they would try to come take it from me.
Really?
Yeah, that they would be like, "Oh,
you're stealing it." Yeah,
like
right.
I mean, it's not. You can't patent food. Well,
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can sell food. No,
Right.
You gotta share, right?
Sure.
We can all do it. And I just want a little sliver. And I don't want a big piece of the pie, right? Just give me a little sliver of the biscuits, people. And so I fortunately, they don't have a spot close by here, and I live 3 minutes from here, which is, so I kind of have grown up with this complex, this neighborhood, so to speak. So I know Waters Creek really well, and if you're from out of town, that's the complex that says it's
Yeah.
mixed
I'm from
residential.
McKinney, so close
Yeah.
enough.
Some of your some of those people on the thing
Right.
might not know. But
Sure.
it's a wonderful little space with green space and concerts outdoors. And so I know the area. I was like, I need it to be there. And I'm just fortunate that there was kind of a vacancy of biscuit places.
This is a great spot, right on the corner. You got this outdoor seating that you can go out and enjoy.
Right.
It's really amazing.
Yeah,
You got this spot.
I'm lucky I got this. And,
Yeah.
So where were we talking about?
Kind of how this all came about. I'm so intrigued how you've never been in the restaurant business.
Right.
And 2.5 years ago you have this idea and make this.
Voila. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say voila. It was hard. There have been.
I can only
a lot
imagine.
of days where I thought, what the hell am I doing?
Is this your brainchild from design to everything? Everything. Decor?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we have this old, I probably only got to do half of the ideas that I thought of,
Right.
as far as decor-wise.
Then the budget starts adding up.
Yeah.
And okay.
Like we have
wow.
all these old picture frames.
Yeah, I love that.
And half of them don't even have anything in them, but, that's a project, is to
Yeah.
put something meaningful
Sure.
in every picture frame. And I got lucky. My lady was in Paris doing a remote thing for her job, and she stumbled into this antique store that had a bunch of picture frames just laying against. She's like, "How much do you want for these frames?" And he's like, "Oh, the big ones are $10. The little ones are $5." I was like, "Honey,
Yeah.
buy every one of them."
It's probably more to ship them back here.
Oh yeah, she got them in her car.
Yeah.
And so she brought back 15 frames, and she was like, "That's enough." I was like, "No, I want like 3 times that many."
An
Those
ungodly amount of
50.
frames.
Yeah, I wanted them like all the way up the walls
Right.
and stuff. So that I wanted to put like authentic, real barrel heads from whiskey companies up on this fur down up there. Yeah, you can see how many there's up there. None. I got the artwork done, and I paid a guy really good money, and he is a really good artist, and he and I are great friends now because he's so proud of what he did in here.
Yeah.
These are all actual pictures of my grandparents.
Oh, really?
Every one of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Actual pictures of my grandparents. And
Now I noticed on your menu there's a lot of like grandma's jalapenos. There's Mima's gravy.
Yeah.
So obviously
There's Aunt Lynn's chicken
your
salad and Aunt
grandparents
Betty's,
kind of play into.
yeah.
You brought that back into to your recipes, to your.
Shamelessly exploiting the family angle. you know.
Sure.
So
I mean, you got to give it some flavor. It's got to have pieces of you.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
mean,
think
it's literally Beaubeaux. So it's
makes
got
it
to.
that personable,
Absolutely.
real thing, and those are real. At least they're real inspirations, right? Like my grandmother used to make great gravy, and so we had to recreate it because she didn't teach me how to do it. My grandmother on my mother's side, she was a writer. She wrote down every recipe.
Oh, really?
My other grandmother wrote down 0 recipes.
Right.
So all the great things she cooked, we don't have good.
Kind of got to guesstimate
records of it,
off your taste buds.
And sadly, I'm 52. My father would be 76 right now, 77, and all of his brothers and sisters were older than he was. So all of them that got taught directly by my grandmother have all passed away, and my father has as well. In fact, I thought it was probably 2011 or 2010 that I thought I should go see Uncle Elam because he was a great cook, and he was the one that learned the most from my grandmother. And I was like, I need to go spend the weekend with Uncle Elam and just cook and have a good time.
Yeah.
And sometime that summer, he had a stroke, and that was sadly the last.
Kind of took him
we got
down
to
after
really-
that. Yeah. That's unfortunate.
But so I guess the message to you, those family recipes are important.
Sure.
Go learn them. Go write them down. They will give you such a warm feeling at Christmas or Thanksgiving
Yep.
when you miss those people out of your family. Go write those recipes down. Somebody needs to know.
Absolutely. What a great message. I want to talk a little bit about social media from a
Yeah.
restaurant perspective. I know, we run podcasts and kind of media in general. It's 100% social media. With a restaurant, I can only imagine it's the same thing, but a little bit more difficult because you're, you don't really have like a message. You're pushing food.
Yeah.
And so I noticed on Google, you have a great rating.
Yeah.
You have 350 something reviews and like 4.5 stars but I did see
4.6.
4. Okay. But I also saw there's these local guides that come in, and if they don't have a great experience, they're gonna kind of document your teardown.
Oh yeah.
And then how do you kind
It's a
of?
great story for them.
Sure.
So they're
Exactly.
dying to find.
They're dying to
little
pick
space.
you apart.
Yeah.
And so how do you kind of combat that to just treat everyone as their
The fortunate thing on Google, they can't have that much of an impact,
yeah.
right? Like they can be a single 1-star review. That's all they could do. And I don't mean to act like that's not important because it's devastating for me every time we get a 1-star review.
Sure. But I noticed you're very in tune with that. You're there, you're commenting on everyone that gives
Every single one.
a negative review or a positive review. That's huge.
Right. And I try to spin the negative reviews into first off, those replies are a personal message from me.
Yeah.
Nobody else is writing.
I noticed. You could tell. You could tell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can tell. A lot of times I remember the person and
Right.
I'll mention the other people they were with.
I noticed that. Yeah.
And say, I really appreciated meeting you and E, like if his wife was named Emily or something.
Right.
Like those kinds of things are great. But also when there's a bad review, just like we talked about mistakes earlier, right? If you make a mistake, own it, right?
Yeah.
So I've made mistakes. Like there was a day where one of my lead chefs, his best friend, had a baby that drowned in the bathtub.
Oh my gosh.
And so he left, and
Yeah.
I get it, right? Obviously. And so the kitchen was a shit show. And I was back there cooking, which is the worst case scenario. It's the only day that I've actually been back there cooking.
Yeah.
And it was a busy day. And so we struggled and we got 2 1-star reviews and I had to, on both of them, basically own it. I was like, hey, we didn't staff for an emergency and we had an emergency and therefore you got bad service. And I'm
Sure.
totally willing to make it up to you. Just come and talk to me if you want. If you want to never see me again too, I wish you well. Right? That's okay.
That's what's really nice about reading those reviews. Even if these people were telling you how miserable their experience was, their perceived experience,
Yeah.
you still said, I appreciate you coming by. Thanks for being honest. I'm sorry we couldn't make it better, and that's honestly all you can do. That's the best approach. You could rip this person apart, like, fuck you, never come back. Get your ass out of here.
Curb myself. Like one of my favorite.
I know, because one, you said it's taken me a week to stew on this.
Yeah.
So you have to cool off, because if you answer right away, you're gonna let them have it.
Right. And sometimes I'm not mad at the person. I'm mad at us or me.
Yeah.
Like
The situation, sure.
Yeah. Like we could have done better, this or that. But I love the ones where they're like, oh, this is a terrible sandwich because my biscuit fell apart
Right.
and I couldn't eat it like a hamburger.
Yeah.
I was like, young lady, that's why we give you a fork and knife.
It's a biscuit.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
and I've written this in one. Next time, just ask for yesterday's biscuits. They don't fall apart. The fresh ones do.
Right.
Your choice. It's a little hard to chew yesterday's biscuits, though. Anyway, so yeah, when they complain about that, I have to kind of reset a little bit.
Yeah, but you do a great job. I have to commend you on.
It's funny when somebody will complain about, like I had this guy, this Nashville chicken just tastes like it was straight cayenne pepper and brown sugar. I was like, Google a recipe, rock star, man. Come on. What is Nashville
a hot chicken?
sauce?
Yeah.
It's cayenne pepper. Like the first time I made Nashville hot chicken, I didn't have enough cayenne pepper. Like I had to have the recipe.
It takes half a
so
bottle.
That I had enough for yeah. It's like the whole bottle of cayenne pepper.
Right.
And he's complaining like he obviously knows nothing. And then the funny thing is, Nashville hot chicken is our best seller.
Sure.
And 100% of the time, people are like, "Dude, this is amazing."
Yeah.
But he didn't think it was good. I'm like, you know what?
Right.
Get your Nashville chicken somewhere else. It'll be okay.
So social media in the restaurant business is kind of crucial, because I know for myself, if I go to another town, how I choose a place to eat, I go on Yelp, and it's almost entirely based off the pictures of the place. I don't care about the ratings. I want to see the pictures. I want to know what the food looks like, and I judge it off of that.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge part of making your business successful. Is you have to, uphold a good social media standing.
Right.
So I commend you for your, especially Google, because that kind of gets you to the top of searches.
Sure. Well, the thing I like about Google is organic.
Yes.
It is not bought.
Right.
Like Yelp. When we first opened, Yelp comes in, they're like, "Hey, for $400 a month, you have the ability to delete some of the reviews, and you can this, and you can add more graphics, and you can like." I'm like, "Yeah, you know what? Have a good walk."
Right.
So, I don't think that's not what I believe in. I like the Google approach. So that's why I respond to all the Google messages, and I don't respond to any of the Yelp messages. Our Yelp rating is like 4.4.
It's still really great. Yeah.
And I don't press it. I don't encourage people to leave a Google. I ask people openly if they had a great time. I was like, "Hey, leave us a Google review." I'll even tell them, "Hey, create some burner accounts."
Yeah.
Like, give me some.
It's worked wonders thus far.
Well, what's funny is that there's another space in here that's Crew, and Crew's been here for 15 years now. They're a great restaurant, but you just don't ask people to leave reviews. So they've been here for 15 years. They had 207 reviews when I opened, and in less than a year, I had more reviews than they had after 15 years.
Yeah.
So it can definitely help. I love when I just open my Google Maps and there's a little button that says Explore, and the first thing on that list is MySpace.
Right.
That is
because you're so highly rated on Google. That's
smash your mic. So
no, you're kidding.
I'm so proud of that there's activity too.
Yes.
Like
there's engagement
with
it.
Reviews often make Google think that people are engaged here, and then they
absolutely
it up on
sure.
SEO.
Sure.
So definitely love that. The other social media platforms that I'm on are Facebook and Instagram. I mean, what there's Twitter, and there's TikTok, and Snapchat that I could be on. I have a little bit on TikTok. I have nothing on Twitter or Snapchat. And the reason why is I feel like the heart of my demographic is your 40 to 60-year-old bourbon drinker or Southern style food appreciator.
They're not on TikTok anyway, so
right.
Why put in the effort towards that?
Yeah, I need to. I'm targeting grandmothers, and what do the kids say about grandmothers? Oh, grandma's on Facebook. That's why I don't want to be on Facebook. I'm hitting Facebook then.
Right.
Instagram as well, because I feel like that hits my. I feel like Facebook grabs my 50 to 60 year olds, and Instagram grabs my 40 to 50 year olds and 30 to 40.
You got your bases covered.
Yeah, and so I do a lot on Instagram, or I aspire to do a lot on Instagram. Hey, baby.
Is that for me?
This
hey,
right here is probably the most amazing old
You can't take that away.
No, it's the most amazing old fashioned, and this is Beaubeaux's bourbon sprout.
Okay.
Great bourbon.
I mean, bourbon. People come in and tell me
you
how
got
to
the good
make
ice
old
cubes.
fashions, right? Those are really unique, and I'll tell a story about the ice cubes.
Oh my God.
Right, it's right.
That's amazing.
Hey, can you get me some more coffee?
Absolutely. Absolutely, sir.
I've got a good server here.
Yeah, he's nice.
I'm gonna recruit him.
Another drink? I mean, it's delicious. Oh, that is truly amazing.
Man, that's amazing.
That is
Does that make you feel happy?
delicious.
Absolutely.
I'm blown away by how good that is.
When people are amazed by what we do, and I think that what you're tasting is care. We care.
Absolutely.
Right? that happens so often. You go someplace and they just don't care.
They just throw you whatever.
Yeah. Oh, you're the best. All right, I'll leave you a tip on my card.
That's
A cool story. right
truly
quick.
like
So you-
mind blowing. It's so good.
the
I
key to
cannot
a-
believe that.
The key to a good old fashioned is not which whiskey you choose. Like so many people come in and they want to order. I have an old fashioned with Bourbon Tucker.
Yeah.
Bourbon Tucker's like a $50 bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
I can make an old fashioned out of it.
Sure.
The challenge and the chemistry project of an old fashioned is that you're balancing a distasteful spirit with sugar and bitters. And the sugar and bitters complement and argue with, not only do they argue with the spirit, but they argue with each other. They're
Yeah.
directly opposed. So when you get them in balance, sugar and bitters, it almost, well, have you ever had somebody that says, I want a sweeter old fashioned?
Sure.
All right, so that means I add more sugar and I screw up the chemistry project, right? Because now you taste all the sugar
Yeah.
and you taste the bitters. And if, I don't want it so sweet. Okay, well now I'm going to add more bitters. You're going to taste a lot of bitters and you're going to taste a little bit of sugar. When you get them right in balance, they both disappear.
It is.
You don't taste
It
either
is
one of them.
perfectly
Isn't that-
balanced.
That's
Is
what you-
this your recipe? How did you?
No, I know how to make an old fashioned, and there's lots of documentation on how to make an old fashioned. We experimented together. I have a few great bartenders. In fact, one of them, he'll never tell you this, but he won 3rd place in a national bartending competition.
Really?
Yeah, so he's really, really good. But my other 2 guys have worked with him for a long time. And so between the 3 or 4 of us, 5 of us that worked on our old fashions, we just dialed it in, and we've got a good mechanic to it.
Yeah. I'm so glad because obviously it's Beaubeaux's Bourbon and Biscuits.
fuck that up.
You exactly. you
get that right.
you have to come
It'd be
with
like having shitty biscuits.
exactly. And I was reading on your website. You have some 330 different bourbons here.
Yeah, well, bourbon is in the category of whiskey, so we have 330 whiskeys. So
Right,
that includes your
yeah.
Scotch, things that are like American whiskey. I even put one in that category that's by Balcones, and Balcones is a whiskey maker here in Texas, down in Waco, and they made one out of distilled figs and something in honey, and so they don't even call it a whiskey because it's not made from grains. It's
Okay.
made from other things.
Right.
But it's really good. It's called Rumble. Anyway, so yeah, I mean,
Have you always been a bourbon guy? Is that why you tied the bourbon in with the biscuits?
sure.
Yeah.
Like back to when I woke up, I decided I wanted to open a restaurant. I put one foot on the ground and I was like, oh shit, I'm going to do a biscuits restaurant.
Yeah.
And then by the time I had stood up, and bourbon. Let's
Yeah.
go. Beaubeaux's Bourbon and
Right.
Biscuits.
What a
was
combo.
born. Yeah. So for a minute, we were going to call it just Biscuits and Bourbon. The lawyers felt like that was a little generic and could be targeted.
As in biscuits and bourbon, or just biscuits and bourbon?
Like calling it Biscuits and Bourbon, we were under the impression that at some point there would be a fight over the word
Yeah.
biscuit.
Yeah.
And that somebody would try to make that their namesake. Like,
Sure. But you went the complete opposite. Beaubeaux's is such a unique name.
exactly.
The way it's spelled, it's
So I have a trademark
really.
on Beaubeaux's Bourbon.
Oh, I'm
Biscuits,
glad.
which is really rare. Like, a lot of people don't go through the effort and time and
Sure.
expense of trademarking it because, they just kind of gamble that nobody's going to try to
Yeah.
target them. But no, I did all that. So, and it's funny, the lawyer was like, that won't work, and that won't work, and you get into this, and you can't trademark bourbon. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a generic thing. Your 2 terms are too generic, and she's like, you could make up a word like Bisber or something like that. And
Yeah.
then you could trademark that because it's unique. And I was like, yeah, but that just sounds
And you're
dumb.
getting a little foo-foo.
Yeah, that sounds really dumb.
Yeah.
So
So
my name is B.O.B.O.
Oh,
But
okay.
my original grandfather, and I believe, I don't have a lot of accurate family history on it, but that in the Civil War, the Union Army approached France and recruited a bunch of Frenchmen to bolster their army numbers.
Sure.
And I think he was one of those guys. So at the end of the Civil War, he was in Arkansas, and I'm sure they were like, "Yeah, war's over." And
Yeah,
he's like,
of course.
"Oh, do I get a ride home or something?"
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
the first thing they did is fix his name and take away all the extra letters. So Beau, Beaux became Bobo, and that's what my name is today.
But you went back to the OG version.
Yeah, sort of.
It's
go back to homage.
Distinct. It's got a flavor to it.
It's it makes people look at it for a minute.
Sure.
Because they're like, Bobo?
Yeah.
And that makes them remember.
Yeah.
So
You definitely won't forget it.
yeah, I think the only problem I have is some people come in and they want Cajun food.
Really?
Yeah, they just see the EAUX and they're like, let's have Cajun. They don't even look at anything else. They're usually not disappointed because we do have one Cajun-inspired dish. And Cajun food is sort of comfort food. And if they're looking for comfort food, they get comfort food here.
Absolutely.
We got comfort food in spades.
Biscuits and anything you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like making comfort food out of whatever you want.
Sure.
So,
So what do you think separates Beaubeaux's from other establishments offering the same kind of thing?
well,
I mean, your location obviously is pretty good. I mean, if you're down here,
if somebody wants biscuits, I'm the closest one if they're in this area. If they want bourbon, I'm the closest one if they're in this area.
Yeah.
Like to get.
if you want a
better
great
bourbon
old fashioned, this
Yeah.
is the spot. They nail it.
If you want an amazing bourbon collection, you got to drive about 15 miles before you get to one better.
Right.
I'll plug a couple of places. There's one in
They don't
Kenya
deserve
called
that.
the
You don't
Celt.
have to.
Oh,
The Celt?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
no,
Celt.
okay.
Yeah, love them.
Yeah.
I say the Celt because I'm dumb, but I think they do call it the Celt.
Yeah.
And in fact, the owner of that restaurant comes in here and has brunch on Saturday.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it is really. that's
That
one of the
place has
highest
a great
compliments.
feeling to it too.
Absolutely.
Those stairs, the 3 stories. It's a
Yes.
cool vibe.
Absolutely.
And you've kind of done your own version of that here.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to the Celt
Yeah.
a handful of times, and
We can
I've
say
loved
Celt.
it every time.
It's okay.
Tomato. But again, I found them after I was looking for who's going to be my competitors.
Sure.
The other place that you could go is in Frisco. There's a couple called, one called Rare Books Bar, one called Bottled and Bond. The funny thing though is that the reason I wanted to do a bourbon place is because literally a week before I got laid off, which was a day before I decided I was going to open a restaurant, my lady wanted to take me out for my birthday. And
Okay.
so she knew that I liked bourbon, so she's like, I'm going to take him to a place that's got great bourbon. And so she starts Googling the internet and just pounding on her phone, like, where's
Right.
got good bourbon? And just nothing pops up. Like, you would think that as many bourbon drinkers as there are out there,
Sure.
they've all got wives, because again, they're all 50
Yeah.
years old, and those wives want to do something fun for bourbon, and you can't find a restaurant.
Right.
There's tons that have it. There's even little sneaky places like Mignon on Preston Road has a great bourbon selection. But they don't want to be known for that. They want to be known for steak. So all their marketing is for steak. They don't even mention that they've got a great bourbon
So does she
selection.
bring you here now for your birthday?
Oh, well, yeah, no, right? No, we're both sick of this one.
I can only imagine.
So we did find a place, but it was hard. And she
Yeah.
had to enlist my help to find a place. And things like Bottled and Bond is kind of nuanced, right? If you're a whiskey drinker, you know exactly what that means, and
Yeah.
you might be enticed to go there. But if you're not a whiskey drinker, went right over your head. There's a place called Rye, and used to be in McKinney. They have one in downtown, and same thing. Like, if you're a whiskey drinker, you know what that means. If
Yeah.
you're not, right
Yeah.
over your head.
Of course.
So I was like, right on the sign, bourbon,
Yes.
right on the sign. So
That's what we're about.
yeah,
Biscuits and bourbon.
Yeah.
I
got you.
We're the shit at both.
Right. And the problem is on bourbon, it's almost to the point that people think, oh, I don't want to drink bourbon, I can't go there. No, we got great drinks for your date. Because
Yeah.
if I'm going to get a whiskey drinker in here, I cannot ignore his date. Right?
Sure.
She probably doesn't want to drink bourbon.
Yeah.
And I got to wow her.
They usually
as
don't.
much as I wow him.
They want a peach Bellini.
So exactly. So we make amazing Cosmos. We make classic daiquiris.
I can only imagine.
Our Blackberry Bramble is
Sure.
a fantastic drink. Our Espresso Martini is fantastic. We have a seasonal cocktail list that we have 4 things on it, and those are all really creative cocktails that, and sometimes, and one of them is always a variant on our old fashioned. So right now we have holiday spiced old fashioned.
Okay. Little cinnamon in there.
So yeah, we put sticks of cinnamon, star anise, ground clove, and nutmeg, and then we boil water with sugar and boil that down.
Reduce
to
it
where
down.
it's sugar,
Yeah.
simple syrup infused with all those spices.
Oh, wow.
And then we use that.
That's
but then
a
when we-
pumpkin spice old fashioned.
kind of similar
Yeah.
spice set. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we add all that, and then we put one of those fresh star anises, a few
Right on
cloves,
top.
and a cinnamon stick in there
Wow.
with it. Really enhance the orange because the orange comes through in holiday flavors as well. And then we use cardamom bitters, which is kind of crazy. So
What's the difference between normal bitters?
the bitters has the opportunity to not just add the bitterness, but also some flavor.
Yeah.
So if you pick the right one, like for example, we have a peanut butter and jelly old fashioned.
Oh,
And
wow.
In that we use peanut butter whiskey. We use
Screwball?
Chambord. Yeah, Screwball.
Okay.
The original. Chambord to give it that grape flavor. Then we put 3 grapes in there with it, and we put peanut butter on the edge of the glass.
That sounds really awesome.
So that would be way too sweet, and it would literally taste like a kid's drink. But we add so much bitters to it that it pulls the sweetness
mellows it out.
brings it back in balance, like we talked about earlier. And you'd be surprised at how many people, like, their eyebrows.
Yeah.
This is a damn good drink.
Your drinks
It tastes
have
just like a peanut butter and jelly
serious
sandwich.
chemistry to them because
Yeah.
they're so perfect.
Right. We
From this old fashioned, I'm still blown away
Yeah.
at how good this is.
Cheers.
It's the most, absolutely, cheers. It's the most balanced whiskey drink I've ever had.
Yep. That's
It's incredible.
Did we tie up all our loose ends? I think.
I'd like to talk about your menu.
Oh yeah.
Your what is your? Do you have a signature dish? There's a few things. I looked through your menu. There's a few things that I caught my eye that I
Yeah.
think are your signatures.
Okay, go for it.
What was it called? The cheese, the fried cheese. Mm-hmm. What was it called again?
It's called chicken fried cheese.
Chicken fried cheese. Yes. Oh, okay. Look at this. How great. Chicken fried cheese, grandma's jalapenos. Obviously, that's got to be a huge hit.
You know what's funny? So the top 3 things,
Okay.
I look at our meager sales sometimes, and those top 3 things, like,
Our starters.
yeah, for a given time period, I was looking at the sales, and grandma's jalapeno sold 151, and deviled eggs sold 149, and fried cheese sold 150.
Yeah.
Like, they were exactly
Yeah.
the same amount on all.
Those are
So
my top 3
they
for
went.
your
And
starters.
then the Brussels sprouts are funny because my mother came in and she loves the Brussels sprouts, and she called me because I was out picking up liquor or something. Wasn't like I had the day off. She's Tim, what's in these Brussels sprouts? Pat wants to know. Pat's her friend, and I don't talk like that. That's the way she talks.
Yeah, of course.
So I said, Mom, it's mostly orange juice and soy sauce. That's what gives it the flavor.
Yeah.
She said, really? She said, okay, Pat, he says oysters and soy sauce.
You know,
And then
Brussels
she-
sprouts, they're a
not
tough
good
one
with
because
oysters.
it's something I would never order, but if it's on my plate, I will absolutely eat them.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
There's been a handful of people that said these are the best Brussels sprouts I've ever had.
Right.
Again, warms my heart.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're bullshitting. I think they really do believe
Sure.
that the best ones I've ever had. We flash fry them. So let's go fry them.
Yeah, of course. How can you go wrong?
Yeah. So the way your grandmother used to do it is they would boil them in water and
Sure.
they come out all soggy. And that was it. You just put salt and pepper on them. But no, we put bacon, we put mushrooms with them, we put soy sauce, orange juice, garlic, this and that, like all this kind of nonsense with them after we flash fry them. So fry them, then we throw them in a pan and we saute them for a minute and let them soak up all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, they're delicious.
So I love how when it comes to your entrees, it's biscuits or get the hell out of here.
Kind of.
There's no chicken nuggets or reserve burger on here. It's variations
on a biscuit.
It's variations of biscuit items, and I love that. You're sticking to your thing.
Yeah, I've got a little sort of pushback from advisors on that.
Not having variations for the weirdos.
Like, well,
you need peach bellinis and
like
chicken nuggets.
right? Like, people come in, they're coming with their buddy because the buddy wants to have biscuit for breakfast, and then, could I just get bacon and eggs? So I need to.
You have biscuits and gravy.
I mean, there's some.
And I'm sure it's the best biscuits and gravy you can imagine.
They look at the ingredient and they're like, "Can you just give me bacon and eggs?" Yeah. Okay. And one of the things that really irritates me, and I got to get over it, but I haven't in a year and a half, is when somebody orders just biscuits and gravy.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like getting the chance. I shouldn't use this example because I'm not Leonardo da Vinci.
Right.
But imagine if you got to meet Leonardo da Vinci.
Are you saying just biscuits and gravy without the sausage and egg?
Just biscuits and gravy.
Okay.
Right? And
I understand your disgust now.
So you meet Leonardo da Vinci and you ask him to draw a circle. And then you judge him on the ability to draw a circle.
Sure.
Have you really discovered anything?
Right.
Have you humiliated him?
Right.
Have you belittled him almost? Right? Like, he's like, I painted the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
I invented a helicopter in the 1600s.
Sure.
But you want a circle? Yeah, I just want a circle.
What a great analogy. Yeah.
And then, so I bring them biscuits and gravy, and they're like, this is really good. But they're only going to come back here when they want biscuits and gravy. Because they don't realize the concept is not about the biscuit. It's about all the other stuff and how the biscuit makes all those things better.
Right.
That's what the idea is.
Absolutely.
So, anyway, biscuits and gravy
so I was
sells.
I bet it does.
And I penalized them. I charged the hell out of them.
So looking over your menu, the things that stood out to me were the biscuits and gravy, obviously.
So we changed that one. We used to call it mesquite style. It's a tribute to my dad.
Right. Yeah, it's
My dad
still
used to
still
make
there.
that for me and my kids. So now when somebody orders biscuits and gravy, we just like this one, and then they get the full idea because they get sausage, egg, and cheese on it. And
It looks amazing. Yes, really I bet. So that, the Nashville, of course.
Yep, our best seller.
So I love how you named it locations, like where this flavor is kind of prevalent.
I'm glad you touched on this. All 16 of them, kind of with the exception of the top one, because it's kind of walked around a little bit. But for example, the second one, Toronto, it has ham and egg and cheese.
Yeah.
It's American cheese, and the reason the sandwich works is because it's American cheese. If you ask for cheddar, it doesn't work anymore. So the way we make it is that we put the 2 eggs on the griddle and don't even break the yolks. We don't pre-stir them or pre-mix them. They're 2 fresh eggs, and then we put the American cheese in right then. So the idea is that the cheese will melt before the eggs turn solid. And so for just a minute, they're
It's just
both
the
liquid
right
at the
composition.
same time. Yeah, cheddar cheese won't do that because it has like a 180 melting point.
Sure.
And so
American is half plastic, so it melts slower.
Yeah, it's only 1 molecule away from plastic. So it melts, and you can have. You may be done because of this fly. Anyway, it's called Toronto because American cheese was invented by a Canadian named James L. Kraft.
Really? I didn't know that. Oh, Kraft cheese. That makes sense.
He did well.
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And then Montreal is named for the guy that invented peanut butter in 1890.
Oh, okay.
Patented it in Montreal.
Yeah.
Made exactly $0 off of peanut butter because by the time peanut butter caught on in 1920, the patent had already run out.
Yeah.
So
It flies
You
after
make
me
it-
now.
Oh, yeah, flies attacking you.
So I love how you name them. But just
Santa
looking,
Barbara is where the Haas avocado was back.
right. But just looking at this, the things that stood out to me, if
Yeah.
I came in here as a customer, biscuits and gravy, obviously, the Nashville,
Yep.
and the Lockhart. That would be, I feel like those are kind of your staples. Would you?
Yeah, definitely.
Agree?
It's amazing that brisket sandwich has been around forever, and we've all had it.
Not on a
million
biscuit.
times. On a
That's a
biscuit,
whole
it's
different
better.
level. I'm
It's
sure.
better.
Everything's better on a
Why?
biscuit.
Yeah, we just proven that every
Right.
time. Yeah, so
So would you say those are your kind of staples? Is that your
They sell
signature
best.
dishes?
yeah, there's times where biscuits and gravy sells better than Lockhart, or vice versa. Or Dawson County, which is named after where it's actually Lamesa, is the city in Texas where they invented the chicken fried steak.
Oh, really?
At least they claim to.
Of course they invented it here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in Dawson County, so
Yeah.
we give tribute to that. Lockhart is named Lockhart because the city of Lockhart has Black's Barbecue, which is famous for putting brisket on the menu.
Sure.
Anyway, so yeah, all of them have a little bit of story. Even the New Orleans one seems obvious, but a guy named Paul Prudhomme opened a place called Paul K's in the 80s, and he became famous and a celebrity chef for making blackened redfish with Cajun Alfredo sauce.
Yeah.
And that's what we have.
Got it on the menu.
And on a biscuit, it's better.
Of course. What is it?
Yeah, exactly. So,
All right. Well, I think it's time we order some food and see what all the fuss is about.
let's try it.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Cool.